always wanted to be a writer. Let me be a writer. And I left this cushy little thing, and I joined another agency at that point, one very, very small agency called Business Sense, for hardly, I think, 1,800 rupees. This is, I'm saying, 5 months before marriage. So you can know how worried every people around would have been, especially my wife and would-be wife and their side. But of course, there was a lot of support from everyone. And from there, from Business Sense, see, when your back is against the wall, you're earning so less, you try hard, you go that extra mile to cover up for what has happened. And that was it. And used to write. It took me 13 or 14 interviews. I got rejected, I think 13, 14 times. And then Everest happened. Everest, there was Milind. Milind was in a big hurry. He had to go out. He gave me 2 minutes. He liked one of my ads. I was in, junior copywriter. And then that's how the writing journey actually began. And then again, when I was in Everest, I got a call from Young and Rubicam. That is Team Young and Rubicam in Dubai. It's the most awarded agency in the Middle East at that point in time. And I said to myself, if I have to go out, I'll go to this agency. And that's where I got my job. But I was a creative group head at Everest at that point, and this was a junior copywriter job again. So the thing was, should I leave this nice little place and go to Dubai and be part of a place which is very well known, or just grow in this place? But I took that leap of faith again. Again, a junior copywriter, worked, and from there, I grew. I think I became the associate creative director. And then again, when things got a little cushy, we left and we joined another agency, Sutra. It was started by one of the other guys in the team Y&R agency. And again, the struggle from a small agency started, and 10, 11 years, this is where I am, creative director, but more fun, more enjoyable, small group of people working towards a common goal.
So, Danny, what is your view about writing overall? What is your view about writing? It may be a copy, it may be a story, it may be long copy. Your view.
Writing, subconsciously or knowingly or unknowingly, we all write. I mean, we write on our WhatsApp messages, we write on Facebook, we write about movies, we write about the government. So we are all writers. And I mean, if you look at it, we write, basically we craft our writing also. Even when we have to send a message, if someone is dating, he writes a lot of times before he sends a message, and when we have to write an excuse to the boss also, we write a lot of times before we send the excuse to the boss. Ultimately, writing is a part of everyone's life, and the only difference is I do it for a living, and for which I get paid, and the fantastic part of this is writing for a brand like Ford is very different from writing for a brand like Mashreq, which is a bank, and then writing for a brand like Coroli, which is an oil, and writing for an education. So you have different things that you have to write about in different tones of voice and different way of writing. So it's fun, and I love doing that. So finally, I decided take this writing from advertising to my personal sphere.
How you bring in storytelling into branding and marketing, or when you're creating a brand campaign? Can you give us some example?
In today's day and time, if there's no story, people are not ready to listen. Thoda mirch, thoda masala you have to put in, you have to make things interesting. How do you do it is, otherwise, the more you write introducing so and so, best price, 50% discount on all this, it's not going to get your attention at the end of the day. So the whole idea is, what do you tell the people about the brand that you're talking about, and how do you tell it? And you have to make it as interesting as possible. It can be stating the truth. It can be a lovely little conundrum. People keep people guessing, or it could be something funny, something really very emotional. So there are these different ways of getting their attention at the end of the day. You just have to figure that way and hope and pray that the client also buys into your thought and put that story out alive. And today, in today's world, Kiran, if you look at it in social media, if you have to talk about a particular brand, you're bombarded with so many things. So your story has to be good. Your story has to be short. People don't have the time. I mean, if you go to an ATM and if you're the second person in line, you start cribbing. That's how short of patience that we have become. And which is why it's just getting harder and harder for us. People have started moving from 60-second commercials to 30 seconds, and now within 10 seconds everything has to be said. And if it's not a story, people are not interested. They just flip you up.
Any example of your recent work?
I mean, it's a little old, but it's one of my favorites. So it is when the Great Recession had hit 2008, 2009. And unfortunately for Ford, as a car maker, they had a lot of stock left, around 20,000 cars left. And people were not in the mood to buy cars at that point in time. And we had to sell those 20,000 cars, and that was the brief that was given to us. And these cars were very small cars, the small like the Tata Indica and all. And how do you sell cars to people who don't want to buy your car? That was the whole issue that was facing the agency. And what we did was, then in these times, as you said, what story do we spin it? And we did a very simple exercise at that point in time. We numbered the cars. We made it 1 to 10. And the number one car was sent for auction. The minute, it was the first time ever a car was getting auctioned live. And it was the number one car. And in the UAE, people are very, they are mad after numbers. So I don't know if you all know, if people are watching know that a 3-digit number plate here could get into millions. You'll have to pay a million, more than a million for a 3-digit, 2-digit number plate. So that is how crazy the people are. So when they saw, the cars, there are certain number of cars that are getting sold and they wanted to go for that number one. There was a hectic auction happening, and that made the entire brand go viral. And post that, within 2 months, all 20,000 cars got sold. Wow. So that was something that is really fun and something different that we did.
Okay, great. So what made you try your, passion of cooking lovely food by opening a restaurant? Why suddenly that small turn?
There is, Kiran, absolutely no passion of cooking. There is passion of eating. It doesn't show, but a big eater. I love eating, love experimenting. So it's also another story. So we had gone on a cold call to a client, and the client said, I don't have any big jobs to give you. I just have a small leaflet. Would you be interested? And I want it today. So we did that leaflet for that client within 1 day. And this was a client who was into food. And the client loved the leaflet. He started giving us little jobs. And this is a big name in the UAE. And then slowly, the client, the head of the company and I, we became friends. And then he started a restaurant. And once you are a partner with a client, we go beyond. It's not just a creative director. We are part of the solutions, problems in the company. And he was setting up a restaurant, and I helped him set up the first restaurant. And then we set up the second restaurant, and then we set up the third restaurant. And by then, you knew what goes into a restaurant. And we set up a very famous chain of restaurants in Bombay, which is called Sukh Sagar, also in one of the places in the UAE. And then we set up our own restaurant. So the two partners in the agency and I, we together set up our own restaurant. We did good work for it. Those work got awarded. Then we sold the restaurant also. So the most important thing is, every writer always thinks of either writing a book or opening a restaurant. So because of my fondness for eating, we started a restaurant. And the most important thing is, whenever I could feel like I could eat for free. So that was the one that led it.
Super. Okay, then how you moved back to the mainstream advertising?
We didn't see. The funny thing is, I didn't have to leave the mainstream advertising.
Okay.
The partners from the agency supported me, and so parallelly this was happening. Some work of advertising was also happening. So this kept happening parallelly. It was a lot of work, but the food was good.
So what is this concept? What is this Storytime? First thing, and your story of creating Shoetries, how you got into this. So I want to, listen everything. And I think, please tell us about your coming up with the book.
So how did it all start? Is see, you write for a living, as I said. I mean, you write for the clients, you write n number of ads and everything. But I mean, COVID was a kind of blessing because you were at home. There was little bit more time that you had. But whenever you have that little bit of time, it's natural that with Netflix around, it's natural for you to be lazy, be comfortable, watch a movie, and do things. So Shoetry was not part of it at all as a book or anything. But I mean, a lot of credit goes to my daughter. She paints and she writes about whatever she's painted. So when I would watch Netflix, I would see her painting and writing about it and posting it. And then one day she asked me, "Why don't you write?" So I just sat down and I said, "Why don't I write?" And it was basically the whole thing was because I didn't want people to judge me. In an ad, when you create an ad, you can probably hide behind the ad. People are not seeing it. Clients might judge you, but not the world. But I said, you know what? At the end of the day, I think I should write. I should put it up there. Even if people try to judge me, that is okay. I mean, if I can inspire one, if I can inspire five of them to write at least, that's a job well done. Secondly, coming to my style of writing is again, it's all inspired from advertising. For example, if you have to write a headline, the client will expect you to write, "It's a great product, it costs amazing." There's nothing like that. Everything has to go in that headline, and it has to be short. So working on that, it just gave you the basic skill of writing things and keeping it short and effective and impactful. So I said, why not try and take that? Because people, anyways, you keep hearing people don't have the time to read. People don't have the time to read. So what if you keep it short? What if you keep it impactful? People might just pick up and people might just read. So that's where I started. And Shoetry, it so happened is I write short stories. I write a little bit of poetry also. So I said, why not combine this? So if in a lot of my writings, you would see a certain part is written as a short story is written, and then it gets continued seamlessly as a poetry. So that's one part that I said, hey, this is unique. I mean, you're always told in advertising, have a USP. How is your product different? How can you? If you don't have a USP, you're not going to make it. So this is something I said, you know what? Let's make this the USP, the unique selling proposition for this product. And just sat down and, Kiran, when you're blessed with a good childhood and a lot of friends, there are a lot of memories that you have. There are a lot of stories that after playing, sitting on that wall, discussing things, there are lots of stories. And from where I came, there were like more than 50 kids who would come down to play. So that's the kind of atmosphere we grew up in. And when you're living in a big family, you have those stories that you hear. When you're living in a building, you have other stories. So I said, you know what, sit down, think of all those lovely little things, some ordinary things that has had impact in you, some learnings that you've had, some things that you've heard from someone. And it is a task, but you sat down, you wrote it and edited it. And then it slowly started taking shape. And I think by now there are around 62 shortries and around 10 to 15 short stories that have come together. So hopefully very soon it is to be published. And after writing all that, we've still not managed to figure out the title. So imagine, 4 words are still eluding us after writing so many words. But that's how it is all taken shape.
Who's publishing this book, Danny?
This has been published by Story Mirror from India.
Wow, wow.
So in fact, I mean, as luck would have it, that was sent, and the CEO of the place, the publishing house, called up, and the chief editor called up, and they said they loved it. And then sitting with them, they made a lot of changes to it. I mean, I was blessed in that place because very rarely people from the top will call you. I mean, they have other people in the team to
People
speak,
in the team,
but
yes.
this got in and it just started rolling.
I would like to invite Prasad Rajgopalan. So Prasad Rajgopalan is a uh, founder of Stories for Training. Stories for Training is an OTT platform, and let us hear from him more about Stories for Training, and then I will move back to you, Danny. Okay.
Thanks,
So,
Kiran.
yeah.
Thanks, Danny. I mean, that was a very engaging conversation you have been having. Kiran, like Danny said, see what most presenters, maybe teachers, trainers, coach, what they fear is how to get that initial attention of a audience, how to get that initial engagement going on. And according to research, the best way is storytelling. And like when I was working in an advertising agency, we used to produce these short story videos, and we found it extremely good in engaging and catching audience attention. So that was the idea which triggered about a year back. We said like, can we create a OTT channel, which wherein we can create a library of 90-second inspiring story-based animated videos. So any presenter, like whenever they want to include a story in their presentation, all they have to do is select a story, play a story, and engage their audience. So let me share the website called Stories for Training. And as you see, see the interface is very similar to Netflix or Amazon Prime. All the functions are very same. The only difference is Netflix, they have a library of movies, TV shows, and we have a library of 90-second story-based animated videos. So we have got three categories right now. We have a category for presentations. So any trainer, coach, they can use these stories. We have value education, ideal for schools. So teachers can use it to engage their students. And we have created a series called Bollywood Se Siko. This is the idea. Uh, I've like by experience, I found a lot of technical speakers. No, they are subject matter expert, but they are they don't know how to create that smile in their audience. So Bollywood Se Siko is a best way to create that smile. So let me play one.
अगर कटने का डर हो तो पतंग नहीं चढ़ाना, सिर्फ फिर के पकड़ना। अगर कटने का डर हो तो पतंग नहीं चढ़ाना, सिर्फ फिर के पकड़ना। अगर कटने का डर हो तो पतंग नहीं चढ़ाना, सिर्फ फिर के पकड़ना। अगर सही में पैसा कटने का डर हो तो पतंग नहीं चढ़ाना, सिर्फ फिर के पकड़ना।
See today, most trainers, they are worried. How do we create a engagement? How do we start a conversation with the audience?
When a group of people are dining in a restaurant, a cockroach lands on their table. More than the problem, it's the reaction to the problem that creates chaos in life.
The key is, are we responding or are we reacting? And more we respond, less the drama in our life.
Prasad, I like I must go also in that.
Okay, great.
यहाँ आया हूँ तो कुछ तो लेके जाऊंगा.
Right. So how do you think the trainers or coaches can use this channel?
No, this could be used very well. As you said, rightly said, when you start something or in between something, see, any presentation after a point in time gets boring. So it is a nice little tadka, as we might say. you can just add it and it just becomes interesting. Like in a presentation, some people just go for the heck of it, and then, but once you listen to Crime Master Gogo, it's so true. आ तो गया है इधर तो कुछ तो लेके जाओ instead of just wasting your money. So I completely connect with that kind of a thing. It's lovely. It's lovely.
To become it's a subscription model. So you have to just go to storiesfortraining.com and subscribe. So there are 3 categories right now. As soon as you register, you become a silver member. Silver is free for 3 months. You get to see about 5-6 videos. And if you want to see and use all English videos, it is 200 rupees per month and 2000 rupees per year. And all the videos, English, Hindi, and Bollywood se Sikho, it is 300 rupees per month and 3000 rupees per year. And for today, we have created a special promo code SFT50, all capital SFT50. If you use this promo code, you will get a 50% discount. So I'll request whoever is watching to subscribe today and get the benefit.
Can you please share your some of poetries and story and poetry, the mixture of that, and your thought behind that?
So this story came in, we used to, as kids, we used to go to a place that was run by a very old lady. And it was a place where we used to get snacks and everything. And this lady was, old. She had nobody. But if you look at her, she did not have a family, immediate family. But her entire family was the number of people that came to eat there. So they would look forward to coming there, eating there, talking. So this story was. Then we had a chat with that lady, and I came to know a few things. So this story is based on that. I call it the butterfly, and it just goes on like this. It says, she was born ugly in a bad neighborhood. Family abhorred her, world mocked her, dreams, ambitions, career. She was too naive to understand them. She just did the only thing she could do, cook. She started cooking to feed the world in a roadside stall where the light was dim and the flames were bright, and very soon, for the hungry soul, she was the most beautiful sight to behold.
Wow.
So the whole thing, in fact, when she had told us the story, it was about how the family hated her because she was ugly, uska shadi karwana padega, and all that. From there to being called ugly to being the most beautiful sight for people who loved her food is the entire transformation that has been caught in there.
Wow.
I'll just give you a second one, small thing, which I think a lot of us have seen it in our lives also.
More the merrier.
With our parents, rather. And I call it Blind. The story title is called Blind, the poetry. So it says, his world passed by. He never noticed. He was busy making his world better, and his world never noticed.
Yeah.
So this whole thing is about a parent working too hard and his children just growing up, and then the children has not noticed how many sacrifices a parent has to go through till the day, of course, you become a parent. So these were the two. It's part of being published, so I can, as of now, only share 2 of them. But these are the 2 ones that form a part of the entire poetry collection. So you have poetries that are 2 lines long. There are poetries that are 15-16 lines long, and there are poetries that are 4 lines long. So, but from different genres of life.
Copywriter, advertising copywriter is a story writer. He's a storyteller. So, what is your formula? How you create? How you build it?
See, the most important thing is what you have to say. So we have to first decide what has to be said. And if you look around you, everything that has to be said has been said. So how creative can you get, So it's about digging deeper. It's not about saying things that come to your mind first. It is about, you have to be really thick-skinned. You have to be a self-critic to begin with and say, this does not work, that does not work. And because see, at the end of the day, you are getting paid to what you're doing. And you better justify the whole role that you're playing, not just for your agency, but for a brand and for the client also. So you just see what's happening around you, what other brands are doing, what other new executions are happening. And what I do is I personally read everything. I read masala stories, I read business insiders, I read banking, trade, hotel, all the books. Because you never know what comes from where. A, you are knowledgeable. B, sometimes inspiration can strike you from anywhere at the end of the day. So what you say it, and how you execute it. These are the three things that go into conveying a story. So if you look at even the poetry that I've done, there are illustrations also that
Yes.
go with it, which is very different.
Yes.
So again, that stands out. Now, if I look at marketing that, I might be looking at paintings because I can ask a painter to do that and write in my own handwriting and sell it also.
Yeah.
So again, what I look for again when I'm writing a story for a brand is whether there is an extendability. Because I cannot just say one thing for whatever money he's paying. I need to say something that can go into different media for a longer time, give more buck to the money. So that is how the entire process starts, and that is the whole judgment happens wherein are you saying it differently and does it go fast?